How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you the 3 essential things you need for sick build-ups and breakdowns. In most of my videos I teach you how to make sick drops, but in this video we're going to be taking more notice of breakdowns and build-ups. So the breakdown section is at the end of the track, so it's just before the last drop, and this is where you sort of need to try and show a bit of emotion. The breakdown is essentially where you take out most of the bass and the drums, and you have the pads, leads and vocals, and you try and draw in the listener with some emotion. Great, guys, so if you did like the drop, I'll be dropping a video on how I made that next week, so don't worry about that. Let's crack on with how I made the breakdown. Great, so the breakdown itself is 32 bars long, so it's this section here, and then there's also an 8-bar little build-up just before the drop. The first element that's needed for a sick breakdown is a change in frequency. So what I mean by this is that during the drop, all the bass is there, all the hi-hats, all the top range is there, the whole frequency spectrum is all there. If I show you on a spectrum, this is what it looks like. So as you can see, all of the top end and all of the low ends there. And then when we transition into the breakdown, I've used an auto filter, which is this, to change that. So now as you look, there's no low end. There's also a lot less high end, because you can see previously what the sound was, and that's all been chopped. Not only is the breakdown used to give the listener emotion, the breakdown is also used to give them a bit of a break. So imagine you're in the nightclub and they're just playing the kick drum and the hats all night long. You're soon going to get fatigued. It allows the listener to sort of relax for a minute and hold off before the next drop. I've been to a few gigs where they've just kept playing drop after drop and it's fucking exhausting. Great, so I've created a frequency change in 2 ways. One, on the master. So if you click onto the master, what I've done is add this auto filter. And I have shown, and I've used automation to take out the low end. So anything below 326 Hertz is being taken out. So this is basically all of the low range. And then as you can see, I'm slowly fading it back in. And as you can hear, the bass and that sub is slowly coming in. And then it's being faded out right at the end, just before the drop. And this basically means that when it does drop, that all the bass is there and it's more in your face. What I've also done is take out the top end of the drums. So we're almost fading this in. So it's kind of the opposite. We're taking out the high end rather than the low end. And then we're fading it in slowly. So there's no drums here. Then the first to come in is this ride hit. And as you can hear, it's sort of a bit drowned out. It just helps to transition in the drums and helps to create that sort of build effect. So that's sort of coming in gradually. Even though the rest of the drums are coming in, they're still the top end taken off. Otherwise, it's a bit too much. have a look at this 8 bar before the pre-drop. I've also taken out all of the high end there. So if we show that, that's where I've retaken out. And this section acts as a false drop. So when it does actually drop, it's a lot more in your face. Great, the second essential ingredient are pads, leads, and strings. These elements are important for making a motion. The pads, the strings, and the lead all play off each other. So the synths, so the pads, are very similar to the bass, except they've got a fifth up. So a fifth is just when you go up fifth in the scale. And then we have a lead, which is playing off of this. These are from my Speed Garage Volume 1 pack. You can get that from the link in the description. It has over 65 of the sickest presets for making the best Speed Garage. Once you've got the pads and leads going, it's really important that you make a string. A string is used to create unease. So as it's quite a high pitched note, it sort of creates tension for the listener. So they know there's sort of a build coming, or it's like the end of a bar. Pro tip, when you're creating a lead, so this sound, it's best to have your vocal in already, so then you can write it around that. And that brings us on to our next section, section 3, which is the vocal. I know a lot of tracks don't have vocals, but I think all the best dance tracks all have some sort of vocal, even if it's just a short sample. The vocal you're hearing is from Clementine Douglas Happier, and I've ripped it using LALAI. This is a website where you can convert and get vocals. But the bit we're focusing on today is the build. So every good build-up has a vocal chop in it, which sort of fades in. So this is ours. It's very simple. It's just a small snippet of the main vocal. I'm gonna make it louder so you can hear it better. Great, so what we have here is, let's have a look at our processing. So we've got this reverb, which is obviously making it very deep down in the mix. But the most important thing is this delay. So it's on a 3/4 setting, rather than it being 3/3 and then being linked. You unlink them and you click 3/4. And then you fade that in using the automation, as you can see, and then the further it is, sort of going around the head. And when people are DJing, there's a very common effect that they use in live shows. So like before a drop, they do that. So it makes the track sort of spiral. And then once it comes back in, it's a lot more mono and down the middle. The important thing with this, you don't want the feedback on too high, because if it's up here, it's going to get a bit too much. So keep it sort of below 50%. What you also want to do is add an auto filter. So again, this is just fading in the top end. So without it, you're sort of cutting off anything above 3K or anything from 5 upwards. And then that just fades in. So it's just a lot smoother for the listener. And it helps to add to that building effect we're creating. If you notice, everything's sort of being automated.